She was told she was too fat, too weird, and too loud to ever make it in fashion. So what did she do? She put on a hot pink dress, walked to the end of the runway, and did a cartwheel into a split. In front of the entire fashion industry. Every single show. Her name is Betsey Johnson. And while other designers were busy trying to fit in, she built a multi-million-dollar empire by refusing to. She survived breast cancer. She survived bankruptcy. She survived getting laughed out of rooms by people who are forgotten today, while her name is still on dresses hanging in Nordstrom. Today, we're breaking down exactly how Betsey Johnson turned different into a business model. Stick around, because point number 2 is the exact strategy that saved her company when everyone thought she was finished. Betsey Johnson didn't come from money, and she didn't come from the fashion world either. She grew up in Connecticut, studied at Pratt Institute, and landed her first real break designing for a tiny New York boutique called Paraphernalia back in the 1960s. Right in the middle of the Youthquake movement, when fashion was exploding with color, rebellion, and rock and roll. But the real story isn't just what she designed. It's how she kept building, and rebuilding, a brand that outlasted trends, competitors, and even her own bankruptcy. Here are the 3 moves that built the Betsey Johnson empire. She turned her weirdness into the brand most designers in the 60s and 70s were chasing: elegance. Betsey went the other way completely. She dressed rock musicians. She used unconventional fabrics. She put real women, not just runway models, into her own shows, at a time when that simply wasn't done. Real-world example. In the late 1970s, Betsey co-founded her own label and immediately built a signature runway moment nobody else had. That closing cartwheel. It sounds like a gimmick. It wasn't. It was branding genius. Every single fashion show ends with an image. Betsey made sure her image was unforgettable, memorable, and completely her own. You couldn't confuse a Betsey Johnson show with anyone else's, and that's exactly the point. The lesson. In business, fitting in is often the slowest way to get noticed. Betsey proved that owning your quirks, loudly and consistently, can become your most valuable, unmatched asset. If you're building anything today, a brand, a channel, a business, ask yourself, what's your cartwheel? She built for everyday women, not just the runway. Here's where Betsey Johnson actually made her money. The show-stopping runway pieces got the headlines. But her real empire was built on accessible, wearable dresses, the kind of thing a teenager could buy for prom or a young woman could wear on a first date. Real-world example. For decades, getting your prom dress was practically a rite of passage tied to the Betsey Johnson name. She priced her core lines so a huge range of customers could actually afford to own a piece of that bold, colorful world, not just admire it from a magazine page. That's why, even after her company hit financial trouble, everyday customers still loved the brand. The connection wasn't just to a logo. It was emotional. The lesson. An empire isn't built on the flashiest product. It's built on the product that lets the most people feel something. Betsey's genius wasn't just in the design. It was in making high-energy creativity affordable enough to actually sell at scale. When the empire collapsed, she rebuilt it instead of walking away. This is the part of the story most people don't know, and it's the most important one. In 2012, Betsey Johnson's company filed for bankruptcy. All of her US stores, more than 60 of them, closed. Hundreds of employees lost their jobs. For most people, that would be the end of the story. Real-world example. Instead of disappearing, Betsey did her runway show at New York Fashion Week just months later, cartwheel and all. Her brand and designs were picked up and rebuilt through licensing deals, eventually landing back on the shelves of major retailers like Nordstrom, Macy's, and Bloomingdale's. She leaned into new ventures too. Reality TV, fragrance lines, accessible sub-brands. Anything that kept the Betsey Johnson name alive and in front of customers. She didn't have control of the whole company anymore the way she once did. But the brand survived, because she refused to let one financial collapse define the entire story. The lesson: empires rarely fall apart because of one bad year. They survive, or don't, based on what the founder does in the year after the collapse. Betsey chose to keep showing up, keep designing, and keep her name meaning something. That decision is the actual reason people are still talking about her brand today. Let's bring it together. Betsey Johnson built her empire by turning what made her different into her signature brand identity, making bold design accessible to everyday customers. Not just the elite refusing to quit when bankruptcy could have ended everything. None of this happened by accident. It happened because she made deliberate choices, over and over, for 50 years. If there's one thing to take from Betsey Johnson's story, it's this. Your too much might actually be your biggest business advantage, if you're brave enough to build around it instead of hiding it. If this story pushed you to think differently about your own brand, your own business, or your own comeback, hit subscribe, because we break down one empire story just like this every single week. And drop a comment. What's your cartwheel? What's the thing about you that everyone said was too much that could actually be your edge? See you in the next one.